Hello and welcome to Restore 2023. Today we are in the book of Hebrews, chapter 8. The writer of Hebrews has taken the readers through a long argument to press on the importance of the greatness, the supremacy of Jesus. We heard yesterday about Jesus being the high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Well, in chapter 8, the argument continues again with something that they are familiar with: the Levitical priests, the tabernacle, the sacrificial system, and the Abrahamic covenant. But the writer begins this emphasis with actually Jesus' ministry is superior to the ministry of the Levitical priests. He's got a true and permanent sanctuary in heaven, and it's under the new covenant, which is promised 600 years or so ago. So here we've got the summary statement that the great high priest, Jesus, is seated at the right hand of God in heaven. I mean, he writes about this so triumphantly, as the New Living Translation says, this is the main point. It starts the chapter. We have a high priest. I mean, these verses are an answer to those Jewish people who actually taunted the early Christians with the words, well, we've got the tabernacle, we've got the priesthood, we've got the offerings, we have the ceremonies, we have the temple, we have these beautiful priestly garments. And the idea here is that the believers should come back in confident answer, and they say, yes, well, that's true, you have all those, but those are shadows. Now we have in Jesus all the fulfillment of those things. Well, you have the ceremonies, we have Christ. You've got the pictures, but we've got the person. And this person is Jesus Christ. And he is serving as a seated priest, having finished his work of offering a final sacrifice for sins. He is an enthroned priest, having taken his place at the right hand of God the Father. And he is a heavenly priest, having the true sanctuary where he now ministers. So the writer's point was that Jesus' priesthood was not just an earthly priesthood, was one that operated in the realm of heaven. Jesus could have functioned as a priest on earth after the order of Melchizedek, but his real priestly ministry of sacrifice and intercession began when he entered heaven in his ascension. Jesus interceded for others during his earthly ministry. Remember, he says, I pleaded for you, Peter, in prayer in Luke chapter 22. Or when we read about his high priestly prayer in John 17. But his ministry as our king, priest, began with his ascension. The tabernacle was never intended to be an ultimate sanctuary. It was just a copy, the shadow. Because when God called Moses to Mount Sinai and told him to build the tabernacle, he gave him a definite blueprint to follow. But this pattern was type of a higher, heavenly, spiritual reality. So what does the writer emphasize this so forcefully? Well, simply, he wants to impress on the minds of any who might be tempted to go back to Judaism that they were leaving this substance for the shadows, when actually they should have been going on from the shadow to the substance. The writer proceeds the argument by explaining the superiority of the new covenant that Jesus mediated with his death through the blood shed on the cross. Well, actually, this is better than the old. This is superior than the old Mosaic and Abrahamic covenant. He first explains the reasons that change the covenant in verses 6 to 9, and then quotes 4 superior promises of the new covenant, verses 10 to 12. from Jeremiah, he quotes 31 to 34. And finally, he underlines the certainty of this change. We have this high priest. Let's go and live our lives today, knowing that Jesus' ministry as a high priest for us started with the ascension and is carrying on even heavenly realm under this new covenant, which the promises and the fulfillment is still in Jesus Christ.